The Movie Preview Critic. Informing and entertaining your movie world.
This is a very meaningful review for me because I'm a huge Freddy fan. Back in the 80s, I was obsessed with slasher movies. There was Michael, Jason, Leatherface, Chucky, and out of all of those, Freddy was my favorite, mainly because he was the most entertaining and creative. Michael and Jason were basically zombies with knives. Leatherface was a redneck with a chainsaw. Pinhead was kinda stuck up and full of himself, and Chucky was basically a Freddy ripoff with his smirky one-liners, and really wasn't all that scary, cause he's just a small doll. Freddy was born out of the slasher craze of the late 70s and 80s, and what's so great about his creation and the whole Nightmare on Elm Street idea is that it's simple and genius. Your dreams can kill you. Now I have to admit, after recently watching the entire Nightmare saga, including Freddy vs. Jason, there is room to improve with this remake, but really only in the area of CG effects. We live in an age of boundless movie-making potential. Any idea can be a reality. Our dreams have no limits anymore, and since the concept of the Nightmare franchise is a killer in the dream world, how awesome is it that filmmakers now have the tools to give form to anything that Freddy and his victims can imagine? When looking back, the ranking of the original franchise for me goes 1, 3, 4, 7, 5, 2, 6. And if we could, let's just forget about 2, 5, and 6. Those installments should just be flushed down Freddy's teen victim hemorrhoided anal cavity. While the first one had the least amount of production value, it had the most creative spirit. This was Wes Craven, after years of fighting to make indie projects, finally breaking through because of a great concept and a well-crafted execution. The first movie is, or was 25 years ago, genuinely scary. And just like any movie that's a hit, it has to stay fresh while it travels through the genre life cycle, holding off the final stage of burnout and irreverency. While Part 2 was a Wes Craven-less, obvious quick way to cash in, Part 3 gave us Freddy 2.0. Much less scarier, but his personality seemed to have been developed, obviously influenced by the stand-up comedy boom of the late 80s. Probably because the entire slasher genre by 1986 and 87 was approaching burnout and parody. This third movie maintained a level of fear, but the creativity is what's really impressive and inspiring. This is when Freddy becomes Freddy, the pop culture icon. The story is great, written by Frank Shawshank Redemption Darabont and Wes Craven. And if it would have been the final chapter of the trilogy, it would have been an awesome finale for Freddy. But because it made money, Part 4 was made, written by Brian LA Confidential Heglin and directed by Rennie Die Hard 2 Harlan, which again is a great team-up of talent. And while it's cheesy at times, it's Freddy at his pop culture peak, in the prime of his one-liner glory. After that, it's all downhill, aside from Part 7, which is Wes Craven's postmodern deconstruction of the horror genre, which he helped to popularize, and a few years later would satirize and reinvigorate with the Scream trilogy. For me, Freddy will always be Robert Englund, and will always be the wisecracking comedian slasher. This remake, this Michael Bay Platinum Dunes re-rape, is a sign of the movie times we live in, existing because it's easy profit from a well-established name. Let's ask ourselves a few questions. Was Rob Zombie's Halloween better than the original? Was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre regurgitation better than the original? The Hitcher, Prom Night, The Hills Have Eyes, Friday the 13th? No, 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 no. So what's the point? Why remake these films if they're not going to be improved upon? Because we have CGI now? Because, okay, we can show more blood? Because we have to give the slasher genre a torture porn makeover? The movies are established, the titles register in our consciousness, so as audience members we tend to trust that, the established brand, and we figure it'll be fun to see Jason or Freddy on the big screen now because I was too young to experience it when it was popular the first time. These creations have already been cooked, consumed, designed, and excreted. All the inspired cinematic nutrients, vitamins, and minerals have been drained. Why are we paying to eat this cinematic sh**? Being objective, I have to admit, Jackie Earle Haley does look and sound cool as the new Freddy, because the only place to go with this remake is back to the original tone, serious and scary. The makeup here is less movie-ish and more realistic. Freddy looks like a burn victim. The effects of course look great, the cinematography is strong, and the budget is the biggest of any Nightmare movie yet. It's written and directed by Hollywood rookies with something to prove, so that could be a good thing. But then again, the lack of experience might hurt. The cast, as expected, is a bunch of no-name Vampire Diary Twilight Generation 20-somethings pretending to be teenagers. But hey, Johnny Depp was a no-name in the original, and he turned out to be a pretty great actor. So I'm keeping my mind open. As for the story, how different can it be? The pattern with the remakes is that they incorporate the backstory right away instead of waiting for a couple installments to go there. So we get the burning of Freddy at the factory here, which we didn't see till part 6 in the original franchise, and the factory itself didn't appear until the second movie. I do like the idea of micro-naps, but in the end, it's Freddy. How can we be scared of him if we've seen at least one installment of the original franchise? The story here is going to be the same. Do we really have the patience to listen to this? It's always the same setup in the Freddy movies. I'm having bad dreams. Well, I'm having them too. And there's this guy with, let me guess, he wears a green sweater, and he's really burned. Blah, blah, blah. Just show us some cool deaths, right? I mean, that's what it came down to in the 80s. Like the Saw franchise nowadays, we just went for the cool dream world imagery and kills, and of course, Freddy's one-liners. But with the tone switched here, the one-liners are gone. We're expecting two things. First, to be scared. Second, to be awed by the imagination and the skills of the filmmakers. The concept is perfect for it. The killer knows your fears and uses them against you. That's a powerful idea, filled with a lot of potential. Unfortunately, all the previous horror re-rapes have made easy money with minimal effort. I have a feeling this will do the bare minimum just to get by, hoping to cash in on the name before we realize what happened. I don't mind re-anythings as long as they have inspiration driving them instead of easy box office greed mentality. In many ways, as an audience, we're currently stuck in a living cinematic nightmare that we can't wake up from. Creativity is all but gone. Remakes, reboots, and Sam Worthington taking in 3D keep making money over and over, while independent movies receive less and less attention with each passing weekend. When it comes to our movie world, we get more of what we pay for. This unlubricated back alley violation of Freddy exists because of all the remakes that have cashed in over the last 8 years. Hopefully it'll be better than it looks, but why should it be? The filmmakers aren't being challenged by the audience's standard because we don't have any, so we're gonna get what we expect, nothing more. And maybe something less. The movie preview critic rates A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 unworthy of big screen viewing. See it as a rental, cause it's the same old remade because the pre-existing fan base guarantees box office. You'll see it because you like horror movies, it's a good date movie, especially because you can try the popcorn trick, and it's absolutely a sign of the movie apocalypse. Box office wise, it'll make $40 million opening weekend, before everyone realizes how horrible it is, and worldwide it should take in about 200. As for its place in movie history, it'll be better than Freddy's Dead, but not better than Freddy's Revenge. Until next time, choose your movies wisely because StoryCorp gives us more of what we pay for, and as always,
long live good movies!